Federal government appeals judgment on Supreme Court justice and orders.
We came here to provide the document to show that we are the model.
No withdrawal on developing Niger Delta region.
We touched transportation, mass housing schemes. We also talked about fortifying the financial institutions.
Keeping a promise on palliatives for tough times. Plus, lightens aglow at Abuja International Airport rehabilitations. A very good evening to you and thanks for joining us on Network News Tonight. I am Isaac Nkuma. The presidency has released 42 billion naira to clear part of the backlog of pension from 2014 to 2016. The ministers of Budget and National Planning and Finance stated this while addressing members of the House of Representatives. The ministers announced that the president has directed the immediate setting up of a committee that will take a holistic look at the challenges of Nigerian pensioners. Ignatius Unkwo reports.
The two ministers reiterated the commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari to find a lasting solution to the challenges of Nigerian pensioners. The ministers noted that the issue of salaries and pension remains a priority on the president's list.
So he has directed that a committee headed by the Minister of Finance should meet with all the relevant agencies, reconcile all the numbers.
They explained that apart from being an inherited problem, the need to reconcile the pension figures from PENCOM and that of Budget Office is another challenge.
Yesterday we released the sum of 42 billion to clear all the arrears. Everything that has been appropriated up to date has now been paid. I also would like to tell you that PATAD are completely up to date.
Executive at all time must look at those laws that are backing up their operations and see those areas that need amendment.
And because when the president speaks, he speaks from his heart, not from his head. And since he has directed the ministers that they must solve this problem, I believe this problem will be solved. This House will not accept any excuse.
And to a word of national honors, where members passed for second reading a bill seeking to subject the nominees to Senate screening, sponsored by the Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, Emmanuel Okejeff, and two others.
And for stipulating the requirements, the conditions to be met before such award could be made.
This award is given to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It's not supposed to be the case.
The House has mandated its Committee on Healthcare Services to invite the Minister of Health to brief it on efforts to curb the scourge of meningitis in Nigeria, as moved by Representative Johnson Oguma from Edo State. Members passed 3 bills for third reading. These include a bill for an act to provide for personal data protection to regulate the processing of information relating to individuals. The report of the House Committee on Land Transport and others on a bill for an act to establish the National Transport Commission was adopted. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a technical committee on national minimum wage and palliative has submitted its report to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachi David Lawal, for onward transmission to the Union Committee. The border on making life bearable for Nigerians under the tough economic situation. Omenka Amarachuku has details.
The technical committee is meant to look into the framework to ameliorate hardship facing Nigerians and cushion the effect on the increase in price of fuel. In his explanation, Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige says the recommendations are to address issues of the review of national minimum wage, prescribe palliatives towards improvement of workers' welfare.
We touched transportation, mass housing schemes. We also talked about fortifying the financial institutions.
It's a comprehensive report that was made with a kind of a strong input from the organized labor and government.
The next stage now is for the main committee to adopt the report and then submit formally to Mr. President for implementation.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation commended the efforts of the technical committee.
It is only the final document of the committee that will be presented to government for consideration.
The federal government and the organized labor had on June 3, 2016, raised a joint technical committee on palliatives and minimum wage in Abuja. Umenka Amrachuku, NTA News.
The determination of the Buhari presidency to develop the Niger Delta region is generating lots of excitement, especially consideration for the modular refinery as panacea to illegal refineries as the private sector commits to working hand in hand with the federal government. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, while receiving a delegation of the Baramatu oil and gas producing communities, says there is no going back in government's plan to improve in the region. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has details.
Commenting the initiative of the people in supporting the actualization of government's plans, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo said all modular refineries to be established must be profitable and realistic in order to address critical issues bordering on the development of the region. The Vice President told the delegation from the Baramatu Oil and Gas Producing Trust Fund and the prospective investor in the Baramatu Modular Refinery project that the federal government was committed in addressing challenges in the Niger Delta in a comprehensive manner. Commenting the initiative of the people in supporting the actualization of government's plans, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo said all modular refineries to be established must be profitable and realistic in order to address critical issues bordering on the development of the region. Under the plan that is being developed, communities would come together working with their respective state government, the federal government, and private sector operators to work out a template for the establishment of modular refineries in the communities.
Now that there's a political will to do the right thing, we came here to provide the document to show that we are the model. There's now an opportunity to develop our degraded environment and turning the fortune round. The issue of illegal refinery will be over.
We saw it today, which is a dedication for the Vice President that the government is ready and willing to assist in any which way that is business-like and that transparent, as we can see here.
The proposed Baramatu Modular Refinery project is expected to produce 20,000 barrels per day. Earlier, at an interministerial meeting, issues including developments on the planning for the Maritime University, contractors returning to site, and amnesty issues were, among others, discussed. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Yet on happenings in the Niger Delta, Senate has directed the Minister of Finance to release the outstanding 25 billion naira in the 2006 Appropriation Act for the funding of the amnesty program. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayanu reports that the directive followed the adoption of a motion moved at Thursday's plenary.
The motion on the challenges facing the presidential amnesty program due to paucity of funds was moved by Senator Peter Nwabushe, Delta North.
The Amnesty Office is finding it extremely difficult to meet its obligation to its workers and beneficiaries of the amnesty program.
The Senate mandated its Committee on Niger Delta to investigate the circumstances leading to the funding constraints besetting the amnesty program with a view to avoiding reoccurrence. In another lead debate on the need to restrict the use of armed forces to certain internal security operations, Senator David Umaru said such misuse of force has impacted negatively on Nigeria's human rights image.
The absence of such a legislation by the National Assembly, as is required by Section 217, subsection 2C, and 218, subsection 4 of the Constitution, has led to a number of military misadventures with huge civilian casualties.
Raising a point of order, Senator Denu Melai expressed concern over the introduction of speed limit device for motorists by the Federal Road Safety Corps. The matter was referred to the Committee on Federal Capital Territory to look into it and report back within 2 weeks. Outside plenary, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahamudu Yakubu, has thanked the Senate for the passage of the amended Electoral Act 2 years before the next general election. The INEC chairman stated this when he visited the Senate president.
One of the problems we have had as a nation is that amendment to the Electoral Act comes on the eve of elections. For instance, the last amendment was assented to 2 days to the last general election.
Senate President Bukola Saraki challenged INEC to come up with credible elections using the new technologically friendly Electoral Act.
What we would demand from you is to ensure that all that is necessary to make those part of the technology support that's required is achieved.
From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, Senator Ita Enang, has confirmed that there is neither tension nor anything unusual in the relationship between the executive and the legislature in the discharge of their responsibilities for public good. This was at a news briefing at the State House. Adamu Sambo reports.
Senator Solomon Ita Enang described as false, unfounded and baseless the uninformed insinuation in some quarters that the relationship between the executive and the legislature is frosty.
I am here to again confirm to you that the relationship between the executive and the legislature is all and very, very perfect, cordial, constitutional, and in all manners usual. And the relationship between His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Buhari, and the Senate President, Senator Bukola Saraki, is perfect and cordial, personal and official. They are working together, they are in harmony, and they hold consultations on most issues before it arises.
He said even the minor disagreements over the conduct of some presidential nominees and appointees have been addressed with a no-holds-barred interaction between the president and the presiding officers of the National Assembly, as well as between the National Working Committee of the APC and the ruling party's caucus in the parliament.
At any time that you will find the legislature hands in gloves with the executive, without the executive raising question at the legislature or the legislature raising question at the executive, then the public should be worried. Each of them is to check the other. And when these checks arises, that is when the public sometimes feel that there is tension. Absolutely, there is no tension.
Senator Ita Enang takes pride in the fact that so far, members of the executive have been very cooperative and constitutional in dealing with the legislature, following their understanding that the job of the parliamentarians is to reflect the opinions of the people they represent in the course of lawmaking. In all manners, he said, President Buhari has followed the process of the Constitution, and at no time his actions are at variance with the wishes of the legislature. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And to judiciary matters now, following some losses in the court on corruption cases, the federal government on Wednesday this week filed an appeal against the decision of Justice Jude Okeke to uphold the no case against Justice Adeniyi Ademola, Mrs. Olabawale Ademola, and Mr. Joe Aggie. The Ministry of Justice has also filed a fresh case in the Code of Conduct Tribunal against Justice Ademola and wife for living above their means and failure to declare their assets. The presidency has therefore appealed what it described as a very strange outcome considering the underlying facts. It is even more strange that the trial was not allowed to continue considering the applicable statutory provision. Section 53, subsection 1 of the ICPC Act raises a presumption that any gratification accepted or obtained by an accused person must have been corruptly accepted or obtained until the contrary is proved. Section 60 of the Act does not apply to the case. Of interest was the decision of the trial judge that the offense of giving and receiving gratification was made out by the prosecution against the defendants in the face of the evidence held in court. Prosecution witnesses gave testimony of the payment of 30 million naira in 3 tranches by Mr. Joe Aggie into the account of Mrs. Olabawale Ademola, the wife of Justice Ademola. While not condemning the judgment of the learned trial judge, the ruling, however, failed to address the relevance of Section 53 of the ICPC Act, which raised a presumption of corruption in the respect of the gratification in question. Senior Special Assistant to the President in Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, however, cleared the air that this development does not in any way point to the rift between the executive and the judiciary, but to put the law in proper perspective. And moving on to agriculture now, the Food and Agriculture Organization is to launch $20 million support program for 2017 wet season farming in northeast Nigeria. This is coming as over 170,000 dry season farmers are receiving inputs, irrigation equipment and livestock support in the region. Musa Babaliu reports.
55-year-old Bunyamin Yamani is one of the thousands of farmers who were displaced by activities of insurgents in Jere local government area of Borno State. He says for the past 3 years, farming activities were crippled in the area, turning producers of food items to beggars.
Most of them have left this place. The last 2 years, you cannot see anybody here.
Violence is now over. Peace has returned. And for the displaced farming communities to be able to go back to their agricultural activities, they will need farming equipment such as irrigation facilities, inputs, and chemicals. In response to these needs, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, is supporting over 170,000 farmers with input and irrigation facilities during the ongoing dry season farming activities.
The rainy season, we reached some 146,000 people for the rainy season, and for the dry season 2016-2017, we have reached some 174,000 people.
The beneficiaries of the support say they were able to produce substantial amount of food that will take care of their needs. One major concern is mines and explosives that may be buried on farmlands, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations says it is collaborating with all relevant security agencies to ensure that all farming communities are free from explosives. From Maiduguri, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And after surmounting the twin problems of insecurity and non-funding for several years, work on federal road projects in the northeast region is progressing in earnest. Works and Housing correspondent Mohammed Hamza Sheikh reports that the states and the region are being reconnected on socio-economic development.
For close to a decade, the challenge of insecurity in the northeast region has forced most economic and social activities to a halt. In those several years of insecurity, road infrastructure projects in the region were not only stalled, but some of them were even destroyed by the insurgents. A number of these roads are still in bad shape, especially the Kaltingo-Numan, Numan-Jalingo, and Ola-Mubi-Bama interstate roads. However, with the peace being enjoyed in the region and the remobilization of contractors to side by the Buhari administration, several other projects are progressing steadily. The dualization of the Kano-Maiduguri road, for instance, has reached advanced stage of completion. This is a trans-Saharan route of great economic and social importance, not only to the northeast region, but the entire North and Eastern Africa, connecting Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi, Yobe, and Borno states. The Gombe-Kaltingo Highway has also reached appreciable level of completion, and likewise the Ningi-Yadagungume-Fuskarmata Road linking Bauchi to Plateau State.
It's a work in progress. This tour continues to inform me personally, and I believe all members of our team, about really the scope of works that need to be done. We can reconnect the whole of Nigeria by road, and people can really see how beautiful this country is.
Many states in the region have also intervened in the rehabilitation of some federal roads with the belief that they will be refunded by the federal government.
Now, as we are seeing, this place is not developing, but with this road, you are now seeing filling station.
With this, the peace being enjoyed in the northeast and steady funding of the projects by the federal government, states in the region will soon be reconnected for enhanced socio-economic development. Muhammad Hamza Sheikh, NTA News.
Airfield lighting systems that provide essential visual guidance for pilots is being test run for the first time on the newly rehabilitated runway of Nnamdi International Airport, Abuja. Aviation correspondent Emmanuel Anyimiro, monitoring the update, reports that power installation checks are ongoing to confirm that every light signal is working.
So far, after the completion of laying of asphalt on over 2.4 kilometers of the 3.6 runway, airfield lighting installations are at different stages, covering over 1.2 kilometers of the entire runway. Starting from the threshold lighting, center line and the touchdown lighting, all controlled by different circuits. Anywhere the surface laying of asphalt is completed, lighting installation is taking place concurrently.
We are just testing these lights to make sure that they are powered and the fittings are okay, and we do a final finishes on them by screwing them into position. The touchdown zone lightings have been installed and completed, and they are being tested. It will be much more clearer and much more beautiful in the night.
The airport was active. All the lightings were active before the runway was finally closed. So it's just a matter of putting back everything.
It is also gathered that less than 1 kilometer of the asphalt laying is left, which will be completed in a few days. Meanwhile, with the testing of the runway lightings, what is expected thereafter is the markings of the runway. Emmanuel Anyimiro, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. NIMET advises on containing meningitis. Details when we return. Stay with us.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
When the kings of African comedy gather under one roof,
there is only one outcome. Then we bring down the roof. Come witness the craziest and the funniest, the oh my God, and the baddest of them all. Laughter will scatter your brain well.
Come watch the biggest names in African comedy at Glow Laughter Fest. Basketmouth, Bovi, I Go Die, Sheyi Law, Gordons, Salvador, Osama, Bash, Kenny Black, and many more.
You will never have a bigger gathering of jaw-dropping, whip-cracking comedians under one roof. One microphone, one network.
all over Nigeria. Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
I am gonna be there. I'm going to be there, live and direct, for the time of your life.
Will you?
To win a free ticket, use 2,000 Naira in a month and text LOL and your preferred location to 240.
Oh, Laughter Fest. Laugh go kill you, die.
True.
Glow Unlimited.
We appreciate the gesture, we appreciate her love, and we know that she cares about the people of Nigeria.
She wants to touch people's life, especially the less privileged, or even people who are sick in the hospital. We remember that they have a wife of the president who is very concerned about human life and humanity in general.
Following the approval of the whistleblowers policy by the Federal Executive Council and its launch by the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, patriotic Nigerians have been making inquiries on how and where they could deliver information that could lead to the stopping or uncovering of fraud to the appropriate authority and answers to frequently asked questions. The Federal Minister of Finance has therefore dedicated a telephone line for receiving SMS, a whistleblowers portal, and an email address through which members of the public who volunteer to disclose information about a possible misconduct or violation could deliver such information for the attention of the team dedicated to process such information.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Glad you stayed. Ongoing efforts to reposition the economy on a sound footing under the Muhammadu Buhari administration will soon be felt by all strata of the society. Presidential spokesman Femi Adesina expressed this optimism while playing host to a delegation of the National Association of Nigerian Students led by its grand patron, Eze Ebere. Femi Adesina told his guests that the vision to diversify the economy will no longer be mere rhetorics, but that reality will be the watchword. He said the president's purposeful drive, single-mindedness and simplicity in approaching issues will put an end to break the jinx of a mono economy. He, however, shared the feelings of Mr. President with the student body on the unstable price of oil at the international market, which has resulted in the slow pace of development. The grand patron of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Eze Ebere, commended the president's courage in fighting corruption and the victory over insurgency in the Northeast. And moving on to politics now, the peace meeting of the People's Democratic Party convened by former President Goodluck Jonathan has approved the composition of another reconciliation committee to find political solution to the party's crisis. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Benunkudu, however, reports that the meeting suffered hitches as Senator Ali Modu Sharif walked out before the end of the meeting.
President Jonathan invited all the disputing figures from both the Ali Modu Sharif and Ahmad Makarfi sides to concretize a peace pact earlier signed by the two groups in the leadership crisis. The meeting went on smoothly, with progress reports by the former president and the chairman board of trustees, Walid Jibril, until when journalists were asked to go out before the speech of the two disputing leaders. After naps were calmed down, the meeting went into closed session. Then midway to the meeting, Ali Modu Sharif walked out protesting what he called not recognizing him as the national chairman of the party.
There is no PDP meeting that will take place under whatever arrangement that I will not open the session as national chairman. Well, as the national chairman, we move on. We have a program that initiated by Dixon, and we are continuing with that.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan later addressed journalists, assuring that the party is on course in ending the crisis.
Be rest assured that we are determined to solve the problems of our party. We are determined to make sure that the PDP becomes stronger and stronger. And we are determined to make sure that the PDP rise again.
Everything is going to be clear within a few weeks. Even Sharif will come back to the meeting. We are going to talk to him.
The new reconciliation committee will be co-chaired by former Vice President Muhammad Namadi Sambo or former Senate President David Mark in the absence of former President Jonathan. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
The House Committee on Federal Character has observed discrepancies in staff appointment in some federal medical centers. The chairman, Ahmad Idris, at an interactive session with heads of the centers, observed with dismay the non-compliance with Nigeria's established federal character regime by the management of these institutions. National Assembly correspondent Rabi Musa has the report.
The Committee on Federal Character, which met with the Chief Medical Directors of Abuja Teaching Hospital Gwagwalada, Federal Medical Center Owerri, and Jos University Teaching Hospital Jos, was not satisfied with their nominal roles, which were grossly lopsided in total disregard to Nigeria's principles of federal character.
Where there's gross violation, what we're trying to do is to compile those for prosecution.
The second expression of the committee's disapproval of the employment patterns of these institutions came up in reaction to the revelation of the employment pattern of the Federal Medical Center Owerri, in which, while the host state Imo has 2,138 in their staff list, Lagos and Taraba have 2 indigents each, and 16 states of the Federation and the FCT are not represented at all. The acting chief medical director of Federal Medical Center Owerri said that the recruitment exercise was done before he assumed office.
For us as managers, it's only those that answer to the adverts that we see.
The acting chief medical director of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada, Dr. Abubakar Haruna, said the hospital intends to fill the existing vacancies. The management of all the affected federal medical centers were given new dates to appear before the committee with correct information on their nominal roles. Rabi Musa, NTA News.
Still on health, the House Committee on Health Care Services has urged the relevant authorities to make available to it a comprehensive report on the outbreak of meningitis C in the affected states, as well as responses towards containing the spread of the epidemic. This was part of the decisions taken by the House Committee on Health Care Services at an interactive session with relevant healthcare agencies on the matter. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
The committee members expressed the need for more proactive measures to be taken to contain the spread of meningitis serotype C to other parts of the country. The members also raised concerns on the late commencement of immunization in the affected states, availability of the vaccine, public awareness campaign on the disease with focus on the primary and secondary schools, and the establishment of emergency operation centers.
There's report that about 16 states have also recorded at least 1 death. We are really disturbed.
Officials of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control explained adequate surveillance, risk assessment, sustainable communication system, vaccine distribution and procurement as measures being put in place in containing further spread of the disease.
We are expecting 823,000 doses from the UK, and we expect that will be delivered any moment from now.
Engaging local and global media proactively.
They also explained that quick passage of the establishment bill on Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention by the National Assembly will facilitate quick response in containing the outbreak of such diseases as meningitis serotype C, which is rare to the country. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the unprecedented increase in the temperature from below 20 degrees Celsius to over 40 degrees Celsius, which is closely related to the outbreak of meningitis, may continue till May this year. Director General of the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, Professor Sani Abubakar, stated this in an exclusive interview with Mie Ogidi in Abuja.
In March 14th, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, during its 2017 seasonal rainfall prediction, alerted Nigerians of a long period of dry season, especially in the northern part of the country, with attendant agricultural and health challenges. In less than a month, Nigeria is experiencing an outbreak of meningitis, which is associated with eye inflammation. For the Director General of the agency, avoiding crowded areas and staying away from excessive heat can prevent one from contracting the disease.
The average temperature here in the tropics is always about 20 to 25 average. So, but when you have temperature readings that are now doubling that, approaching 40 and above, then that's every reason for concern.
He, however, advised that Nigerians should take proactive measures anytime the seasonal rainfall prediction is released, instead of reacting to situations. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
And away from health matters, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyama, has promised to explore partnership with Estonia on digital cross-border security management. The minister said this when he received the Under-Secretary Foreign and Trade Affairs of Estonia, Mr. Vaino Reinhardt.
For the EU, when there will also be a new leadership in ECOWAS, so that will be a good program to start with. I think the digital solutions.
and knowing the leading role what Nigeria is playing here in this part of the world. So I believe we do have a very good opportunity of working together and promoting the ICT developments.
The three-man delegation promised to engage relevant agencies for a robust ICT collaboration in cross-border security management in Nigeria. Education Now, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, says by this Thursday it has so far registered close to 900,000 candidates for this year's Unified Tertiary Matriculation of the 1,500,000 targeted, just 2 weeks to the end of registration. The Registrar, Professor Isiaq Oloyede, stated this while discussing with committees of Vice-Chancellors, Provosts and Rectors of tertiary institutions on the matter. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
The ongoing registration of candidates for this year's JAMB examination has generated public concern over the cumbersome nature of the exercise. In this meeting with the chief examination officers of various institutions who are the vice-chancellors, provosts and rectors, the first of its kind, the registrar said innovations have been introduced to remove, if not drastically reduce, malpractices and corruptions inherent in it. He said the complaints are expected because people find it difficult to adapt changes.
We are soliciting the cooperation of our colleagues because we believe that they are the end users of what we are doing, and therefore they should be involved in testing what we are doing, validating what we are doing, critiquing what we are doing, and improving on the facility.
We are hoping that this kind of innovation will continue and will make our exam very credible, the admission process very credible, and everybody will be proud of it.
The registration started on the 19th of March and is expected to end on the 20th of this month. In Abuja, Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Ademola in our Lagos Network studios has the next set of reports on our lineup tonight on Network News. Hello, Ademola.
Hello, Isaac. Good and a warm welcome to Lagos. Israeli government has reaffirmed its determination to assist Nigeria through exchange of ideas and innovations that will boost the nation's economy and the energy sector. The Israeli ambassador to Nigeria, Guy Fieldman, made this known during a courtesy visit to the Bank of Industry in Lagos. Rotimi Oluwagbemi has the details.
The Israeli ambassador, Guy Fieldman, commended Bank of Industry for playing a significant role in Nigeria's economy. He said that although Israel has a population of about 8.5 million, our wealth of ideas and innovation is second to none, and if both countries can find a mechanism to work together, it will go a long way to improving Nigeria's economy. The ambassador also stressed that Nigeria is endowed with human and material resources to attract foreign investors, and its country's investors will take advantage of these opportunities by investing in Nigeria.
What I want to do is that we'll boost the two economies to do better, and we boost the energy. I met with energy companies, with quite a lot of them, and we can do way more.
The acting managing director of Bank of Industry, Wahid Olagunju, had earlier appreciated the Israeli ambassador and his entourage for the visit. He briefed the ambassador on activities of the industry aimed at contributing to the development of the agro-allied economic sector.
So anybody who genuinely wants to do business in Nigeria, the agricultural sector is there, the solid minerals, power, engineering, telecoms. So we were ready to support such initiatives.
The event featured exchange of gifts. In Lagos, Rotimi Oluwagbemi, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force has organized a lecture and screening exercise for its personnel in Lagos to raise awareness about the growing prevalence of cancer in the country. Ken Egbeluhe reports that the theme for the awareness program is Kick Cancer Out of Nigerian Air Force Base.
The Chief of Air Staff, who were represented, said the aim of the program is to sensitize their personnel on how to detect cancers early enough through screening. This is to prevent untimely death associated with late detection. He announced that the force has established cancer screening centers at Nigerian Air Force hospitals across the country.
It is hoped that the Cancer Screening Center in our various hospitals will provide our personnel, families, and the receiving population around our village the opportunity to undertake regular checks.
If we find out that they have cancer, any type of cancer, we start their treatment early.
A pathologist from Lagos State University Teaching Hospital highlighted some of the risk factors associated with cancer and how they can be avoided.
In the time past, it was believed that people 60 years and above are those at risk. But now we know that even much younger individuals develop cancer of the colon. Same with the liver. People with hepatitis B and C virus infection, people who consume a lot of alcohol, and people who are exposed to other risks tend to develop cancer of the liver.
The program is second in the series to be conducted in all Nigerian Air Force bases to promote cancer awareness among its personnel and their families. In Lagos, Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. We take a break now for some messages, after which the news returns shortly. Stay with us.
Let's pepper them. So tell somebody to tell everybody to come join Maya, baby. I did bring too much sauce. Glow Mega Music Talk. It's gonna be a mad over your 10. Yo, wait, we are showstoppers.
I'm your host for the biggest show ever.
If you miss the stuff, you're gonna miss everything. So join me, guys. Let's turn up.
We'll be storming across Nigeria. I won't be anywhere else. Everybody who is anybody
is going to be there.
All Nigeria's A-list musicians.
One big stage.
Live and direct.
Glow Mega Music Tour all over Nigeria.
So watch out because we dey come. Let's go!
It's the Glow Mega Music Tour with your favorite anchors and special guest stars. It's gonna be untamed. Text music and your preferred location to 207. Use 2,000 Naira Glow airtime in 1 month to stand in line for your free ticket. So what are you waiting for? The Glow Mega Music Tour.
Glow Unlimited.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Chewing gum neutralizes bad odor. It doesn't just disguise them, it gives you real minty breath.
Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare to win.
Chewing gum neutralizes bad odor. It doesn't just disguise them, it gives you real minty breath.
It's finally here, the most anticipated sports show on live television, featuring great sports icons from ex-internationals to famed journalists and administrators. It doesn't come bigger than the Sports Parliament. Be a part of the biggest sports talk show on television to help chart a successful path for Nigerian sports. 11 p.m. to midnight on Thursday on the NTA. Sports Parliament, where the eggheads converge.
Welcome back to the Abuja Network News Studios. PricewaterhouseCoopers expresses confidence in government's economic recovery growth plan. Chaz Alamikie has details of this and closing figures on the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Business News.
Good evening and many thanks for joining me. The federal government's economic recovery growth plan has three broad strategic objectives: to restore growth of the economy, investing in the Nigerian people, and building a globally competitive economy. Head Advisory Unit of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Cyril Azoba, believes that the latest reforms by the federal government to resuscitate the country's economy is a step in the right direction.
Fantastic document, and it shows government's resolve to, to turn the economy around and also sustain that growth. It all will still boil down on implementation.
He commended the authorities' efforts to reduce vulnerabilities, enhance resilience, including the central bank's latest intervention to support the Naira. Meanwhile, the capital adequacy ratios of three big banks have fallen below regulatory capital requirements. The result of stress tests conducted by the central bank has shown. The tests contained in the Financial Stability Report released by the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, classified lenders into three groups: large banks, those with assets greater than or equal to 1 trillion naira; medium banks, assets greater than or equal to 500 billion naira; and small banks, assets of less than 500 billion naira. And a quick check on how the equities market fared today. That's the package at this time. I am Chia Zalameki. The news continues. Please don't go away.
Many thanks, Chia Zalam. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has received platinum rating for its excellent performance in institutional work processes. The award is from the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, with its Director General, Dr. Joe Abba, calling on government agencies to be proactive in service delivery. Ruben Okala reports.
Very strong business organizational structure, policies and practices that facilitate effective and efficient service delivery were some of the high points the Bureau of Public Service Reforms considered before naming NCC tops in institutional work processes in the country. The Director General of the service, Dr. Joe Abba, listed accountability for set standardized operating procedure SOP manuals of the Commission's functional 19 departments, as well as accurate measurement of performance assigned to staff as parameters for the evaluation of the Commission.
The rating scale is for each of those good practice statements. We will say you're strong if you score 75 and above. Okay. That is that your performance is so good that it can be an example to others to learn from.
Receiving the award, the Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Professor Garba Umar Dambata, says the award has justified the Commission's position as a foremost regulator in Africa whose robust regulatory activities are based on international best practices.
The fact that we have been given the platinum category, which is 93%, that is the assessment, that the Bureau of Public Reforms has given us, attests to the fact that we must be on the right track.
The award is one of the several by NCC for excellent regulation of the telecommunication industry. Ruben Okala, NTA News.
An estimated 10 billion naira will be saved in overhead expenditure through the federal government's effort at reducing travel costs for public servants. Minister of Finance, represented by the ministry's permanent secretary, Larry Shoaibu, stated this at a workshop. Abdullahi Sulemayaji reports.
In 2016, the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation accepted the recommendations of the Efficiency Unit of the Federal Ministry of Finance to restrict business class travel to ministers and top executives of parastatals in line with the commitment of President Muhammadu Buhari to reform public expenditure. This move reduced travel costs by 20% and more money will be saved when discounts are secured from airlines.
The workshop will provide an opportunity for officers in MDAs to be aware of these initiatives and in particular to be equipped with details of how to access the 50% travel discount being offered by Dana Airlines Limited to the MDAs.
Looking at the processes which being put in place when you want to enjoy this facility, you have to go through the protocol officers of that unit, of the MDAs, which will now pass to the Ministry of Finance. It's from the Ministry of Finance that will be sent to request to Dana Airline.
Between 2012 and 2015, government spent over 353 billion naira on local and international travels, an expenditure the Ministry of Finance described as worrisome given the nation's economic challenges. In Abuja, Abdullahi Suleiman Iyaji, NTA News.
And we have more reports after these messages. Do stay.
National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC impacts upon everything we do, including water we drink, the food we eat. They are important organs to the development of this country. And everybody should come out and join them and support them and help them to achieve the greatest benefits and success that they need to record.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
With gratitude to the Almighty God for a life well spent, the Malo Ado family of Mbajima Tangov district of Kastina Ala of Benue State announced the passing to glory of their mother, mother-in-law, grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-great-grandmother, Mama Mary Adok Malu, who slept in the Lord on Friday 17, 2017, aged 102 years. And she is survived by many children, amongst who are Lieutenant General Samuel Victor Malu, retired, and Major General John Sayina Malu. Funeral arrangements, Friday 14th April by 5 p.m. Christian will keep at late Malu Ado compound, Saturday 15th April by 8 a.m. Lion State funeral service and interment at same compound. Major General John Sehina Malu, son on behalf of the family, announcer.
Thanks for staying with us. On the foreign scene, head of key U.S. congressional investigation on alleged Russian hacking steps down due to ethics inquiry on him. For more global tidbits, let's join Talatu Ezirike.
Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi has declared war against militants as he announced an amnesty of 60 days for them to surrender in exchange for training, employment and education. Still in Africa, Gambia's began voting for members of the one-chamber parliament, a move applauded to deepen democracy. This comes as Libyan authorities freed 28 Eritreans and 7 Nigerians who were in detention for months, as authorities investigated their link to overthrown militants. From Brazil, Supreme Court has banned federal and civil police officers as well as firefighters from going on strike. That is all on Global Tidbits. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
Nigeria Super Eagles move upward in the latest FIFA rankings. Let's join Tamara Biwe on our sports update.
Nigeria moved one step up to 40th position in the monthly FIFA World Ranking released Thursday and occupied the 5th spot in Africa behind Egypt, which moved into the world's top 20, while Senegal and Cameroon sit in the 30th and 33rd positions. After becoming the first country to qualify for the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia, Brazil reclaimed top spot for the first time in 7 years, replacing Argentina, while world champions Germany remained in 3rd position. 17 goals were scored in matchday 5 of the Nigeria National League Southern Conference, with 2 draws and 7 home wins. AS Racing compounded the woes of Warri Wolf with a 2-1 victory. Crown FC beat Unisem Rovers 1-0. Delta Force and Papilo FC played a barren draw, while First Bank drew 1-1 with Osun United. Ikorodu United remained winless after losing 2-1 to Gateway United in Ijebu-Ode.
A chance now, was looking for the bicycle kick, is there? It's a fine finish, absolutely glorious.
The quality of play in this league has improved tremendously. The quality of officiating has improved tremendously.
The growing power of sports as an instrument of social change, solidarity and tolerance headlined messages by international sports organizations in commemorating the 2017 International Day of Sports for Development and Peace, Thursday, as the International Olympic Committee and FIFA have paid tributes to refugees in affected areas of the world after adopting sports as a platform to clamor for peace. With sports updates, Tamara Ebiwe, NTA News.
The death has occurred of a renowned Islamic scholar, Sheikh Al-Hassan Said Jos. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the funeral prayer for the deceased was held in Kano.
That was the remains of Sheikh Al-Hassan Said, who died after a protracted illness last Wednesday in Kano. The funeral prayer was led by the national chairman of Nigeria, Sheikh Abdullahi Balalau, and attended by a representative of Kano State Governor, former Kaduna State Governor Ramalan Yaro, ulamas, followers of the sect from within and outside the country. Sheikh Dr. Al-Hassan Said Jos, before his death, was one of the directors of Jibwis who contributed immensely in the propagation of Islam not only in Nigeria, but world at large. Aged 63, Sheikh left behind 4 wives, 27 children, and many grandchildren.
This is a great loss, not only to us, but to the Muslim Ummah in general. As a great scholar, a renowned scholar, who memorized Holy Quran, who knows the interpretation of Holy Quran.
Late Al-Hassan Said has since been buried at Tarani Cemetery, according to Islamic rites. From Kano, Muhammad Rabiu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari had earlier described the death of Sheikh Al-Hassan Said Adam of Jos as a great loss to the Muslim community. In a condolence statement by the presidential spokesman Garba Shehu, President Buhari says the Islamic scholar was a confluence of humility, tolerance and bridge building. The president noted that he is consoled by the huge human resource base the late Sheikh Al-Hassan produced as a teacher. The statement further extends condolences to the bereaved family, the Jamaatul Nasri Islam, the Zala movement and the Muslim Ummah. The death has occurred of Madam Aziki Haman Bami at the age of 100 years. Burial arrangements, as announced by the family, indicate a Christian wake this Thursday at the Bami compound in Machakadango, Wazagu, Zuru, Kebbi State. A funeral service will take place tomorrow, Friday, at UMCA Church, Machakadango, Zuru, Kebbi State, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Interment follows immediately at Bami compound, Zuru, Kebbi State. A deep tribalized community leader, Madam Aziki Herman Bami, is survived by many children and relations, among whom is the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ishaya Bami. A cool evening in Nigeria's capital city following light showers. For Friday's weather prospects, let's run a quick check.
Welcome to the weather segment. Hamadi Dunlu Adamnola. We expect sunny and easy conditions over the northern part of the country with the exception of Yowa, where we anticipate cloudy conditions with some sunshine intervals. The central states down to the southern cities are expected to be in partly cloudy to cloudy conditions. And as the day progresses, we expect the build-up of clouds to yield few cases of isolated thunderstorms over the stretch of the coast. Akure, Bini, Oka, Anugu, and even some parts of the central states, in particular Lokoja, Makodi, and Abuja. And for temperature details, please do stand by. Thank you for watching.
And just before I go, a quick check on the highlights. The federal government has appealed the judgment given on High Court Justice Adini Ademola and others, saying it was strange considering the underlying fact. And Minister of Finance Kemi Adoshin has said that the federal government has released about 42 billion naira to clear the backlog of pension from 2014 to 2016. And that's been it on Network News Tonight. Thanks for watching. I am Isaac Nkuma. Good night.